Quote, I told myself before I left my room, I'm at my best if I don't care if we win or lose. It might be different for other players, but for me, I'm more free and aggressive, and it's way more fun for me if I don't care about the outcome. I know if I go out there and be who I am, the outcome will dictate itself. KD staying in the moment there. What does this say about him, Stephen A?
It says, it really says why he's not a champion. That's the best way to put it. I mean, no disrespect. I recognize and I say religiously that Kevin Durant is one of the top 3 players in the world. He's a superstar. And his performance during the Olympics is, you know, so what? He's a career 27-point-per-game scorer. He's scoring anybody. I think Kevin Durant could go down as the leading scorer in NBA history when his career is all said and done. I think he has that kind of potential. But when you talk about champions, there's a reason why some people find themselves being champions and some reason they're not. One of the reasons why, Max, I was on the record and swearing to you during the NBA Finals, Steph Curry had a bad NBA Finals to his standards as opposed to choking. I would never associate the word choke with Steph Curry because of what I saw from Steph Curry. When Steph Curry is healthy, I see an assassin. When the big moment arises, I don't see somebody who shrinks. I see somebody who wants the basketball. I see somebody who's willing to pull the trigger. Now, whether it goes in or it doesn't is a different ball game. But what you don't do is you don't disappear. You can be rendered ineffective because of competition. You can be rendered ineffective because of injury, but you don't be rendered ineffective because of yourself. I didn't see that with Steph Curry. I saw that with Kevin Durant. Not Game 7, where he waited a little bit too late to get aggressive, but definitely in Game 6, when he appeared to be a shell of himself, when he was doing things that he doesn't normally do, where he deviated from what we knew Kevin Durant to be in terms of how he elects to play the game of basketball. So then when you combine that all, and you take that into consideration, and you look at the specifics, the specific quote that he put out there, when he doesn't care whether he wins or loses, what champion do you know of that doesn't care whether they win or lose? At some point in time, ask any champion that I have ever spoken to, at some point in time, their back was pressed against the wall. Everything was on the line. There was a level of urgency attached to it. And, you know, as a result of that, you go for it. It harkens me back to 2 things. One statement made by a legend in Isaiah Thomas. Another made by the greatest cornerback in NFL history in primetime, Deion Sanders. Primetime Deion Sanders, you'll recall this, Molly, because you was at the NFL Network at the time. He gave his acceptance speech at the Hall of Fame. It was Hall of Fame speech. One of the first things he did, Max, was apologize to all his family members, loved ones, and everything like that, because he talked about the level of selfishness that he had to engage in, because when you're locked in, all you see is that, and you are going for it. It made me think about what Isaiah Thomas had said to me years earlier when he talked about how he had to apologize to his family. He said, because when you are locked in on championships and on winning, it consumes you to such a degree that you see nothing else, you hear nothing else, you pay attention to nothing else. It is all that matters. Every champion I've ever spoken to told me the same exact thing. We are hearing this comment from someone who has yet to capture a championship. Maybe that's the reason why.
I don't think that what he actually meant was he doesn't care if he wins or loses.
I didn't say he doesn't care.
I think that his process to getting there, he believes the best way to get there for him, which is not for everybody, is to not think about that and concentrate on the process and then let the chips fall where they may. Now, I'm rooting for Kevin Durant to win a championship, although the fact that he joined a 73-win team, as loaded as they are, that came so close to winning a championship, which would have been a title defense, came very close to winning, a couple minutes away from winning back-to-back titles, means even if he does win, people will question how much of that was him and how much of it is him riding the coattails of that team and just putting them over the top. Nevertheless, I would like to see Kevin Durant win because it would make the world more interesting if there was an exception to the rule. If here's the guy, you know, you take the non-centers, the greatest players of all time, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, the retired guys. Now Kobe's retired. Straight stone killers. Even Magic, who uplifted everyone around him the way LeBron did, didn't like demoralize everyone all the time like Jordan and Bird at times and Kobe at times could do. Magic wanted to uplift everyone, but Magic was a stone killer, would never think, oh, I just need to play my game, is only thinking about killing the other guy. Larry Bird talked about after he beat the Lakers in the rematch. He's talking about the best part about it was knowing that Magic was in the other locker room suffering. Think about that. And they were boys by this time. And the best part of the championship is knowing your rival is suffering. That's what's best to you? A psychopath. The fact of the matter is, the history of the NBA says only the psychopaths win on that level. And that's not Durant. So I'm rooting for Durant to do it. I think the world becomes a more interesting place if not everyone has to be cut from the same mold. It would be just different. But make no mistake, that would be an exception. I appreciate him focusing on the process, but that's not how it's been done so far.
Well, let me be very, very clear. I'm not rooting for that Durant. I have no problem with Kevin Durant, but that Durant that you just described, I'm not rooting for that dude. I don't want a bunch of people walking around not caring whether they win or lose, and that's how you facilitate a path to a championship. No, I want you to care. I want it to hurt. I want it to hurt real bad. That's one of the reasons that I went off at the thought of Carmelo Anthony feeling what I thought he felt. That DeAndre Jordan, the same thing. I want it to rake your nerves the way it would rake a fan's nerves, because you're the one out there getting paid. You're the one playing. You need to care more than we do. Not to say that they don't, but we need to feel that. And I'm not going to apologize for that.
What if your path to there is not focusing on the result?
Yeah, what if it's being
Durant's just saying my path is focusing on the process.
Time out, y'all. I prefaced, since you want to get in on this, Molly Wood.
I do.
I prefaced my comments by saying he don't have a title yet. Y'all are saying what ifs. I'm giving you facts. You giving me emotion. Durant does not have a title. He is one of the greatest players in the world. Top 3. One of his teammates was a top 5. Their team was a championship caliber team, the best roster suited to beat the Golden State Warriors, even better than Cleveland, and they lost. And this was his 9th year in the league. Kevin Durant is a superstar. He's not some marginal player or some average player on an average team trying to get there. He was there, but he has not gotten it done.
If Durant had if Durant had a little more Westbrook in him, he'd be a champion already.
Stop right there.
I agree with that.
There we go. There we go.
He said his mindset shifted after hearing all the criticism that they were struggling. This is his new mindset. This is his new approach. So now he's trying to detach himself from the outcome, stay focused in the moment, and execute.
Right. Well,
so this is new.
Well, let me say this to you. I ignored the word new. That was not an accident. The reason why is because that quote explained to me what I've been seeing all of these years. I am not saying that Kevin Durant does not care about winning. I am not saying he is not a superstar. He is a superstar, and I know he cares, and he's a great ambassador for the game of basketball because he loves to just play. The flip side to it is that how many times have we watched him asking ourselves, what's missing? Years ago, before LeBron won the title, do you know what the best thing that ever happened to LeBron was? Losing to Dallas.
Yeah.
Because when losing to San Antonio, everybody anticipated that. When he lost to the Dallas Mavericks, everyone looked at LeBron. J.J. Barea, Jason Terry defending you? How is that possible?
You know what I liked about it?
So what happened is he sat up there around Pat Riley and all of those guys, learned how to zone out the world and lock in. I was at that Game 6. In the Eastern Conference Finals in Boston, TD Bank, when LeBron showed up looking like a man possessed, number white in his eyes, 45 and 15. This man was on another level because you know what? He was here. And that's what I'm saying needs to happen.
Look.
This is what he's saying he's doing.
The world
I disagree.
Look, the world became a more interesting place when LeBron became champion after the Dallas debacle, precisely because when I saw that, and when many saw that, you're like, oh, LeBron, that's who you are? Choking in 4 consecutive fourth quarters in the NBA Finals against a team you should beat on a super team that you put together after you're saying not 2, not 3, not 4. Man, that's disappointing. And then he showed that just because that happened once, that wasn't his fate to be a choker.
Yeah,
that wasn't what he was made of.
What does that have to do with Durant?
I'll tell you exactly. The world became a more interesting place when what you thought you knew turned out, no, there's an exception to that. You can overcome that. How can you not think it would be more interesting if we had at least one example of a guy who's like, no, 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 I'm not Kobe, I'm not MJ, I'm not Bird or Magic. I'm doing it a different way, and it worked. Wouldn't that be more interesting?
Stop this. Nobody's asking the great Kevin Durant to be like anybody. What we're saying is there's an ingredient to champions. If you're making lasagna, I like my lasagna with some beef.
We saw you
okay?
cook it.
There we go. Look, you can make lasagna any old which way you're good. Listen, it requires cheese and noodles and beef and tomato sauce. Now, you can do what you want with it, but in the end, it requires beef, cheese, noodles,
Not
tomato
if you're like
sauce.
vegetarian.
I just said if you like beef. So my point to you is that's the ingredient. All we're saying is it's not about.
What if someone could cook you with lasagna with something else? Wouldn't that blow your mind?
And it was good.
Listen, let me tell y'all this right now. When it happens, it happens. All I'm saying to you is that this ain't some rookie. This is a dude that's been in the league for a decade. And all I'm trying to say to y'all is that we have watched him in moments where we asked ourselves what was missing. You can point to the quote today all you want to that he made yesterday. And you can sit up there and say, well, this is a new Kevin Durant. What I'm saying to you is those who have watched basketball, I am very, very confident would side with me when I say, well, it makes sense that that may have been what he was thinking all along, because on far too many occasions, it never came across like, oh, my God, there's such a level of urgency. I've got to win now, and Kevin Durant is going all out. The person we attributed that mentality to was Russell Westbrook.
And here's the shame.
It wasn't Durant.
Here's the shame of it. Because he's on the Golden State Warriors, and they did just win 73 games, and they came a couple of...
He ain't going to get credit for it.
He's not going to get credit.
Right.
Even if he wins the championship this year, he has not necessarily shown that there is a way that's not the MJ, Kobe, Bird, Magic, cutthroat killer, I only care about winning way.
And he's got to be aware skeptics are going to think that when he made that decision.
By the way, that wasn't just Prime Time who made that speech. It was also Shannon Sharpe as well. Let's remember that.